These reusable produce bags are Lotus brand produce bags, and I absolutely love them for harvesting the fresh veggies and just throwing them in there and putting them in the fridge, and they keep them. I feel like they keep them fresh longer. I'm just taking this towel and wiping all the spikes off of the cucumber. I'm going to continue this process until all the spikes are removed. The spikes on the cucumber come off pretty easy with the towel. I'm pretty sure they're called spines. Now that the cucumber spines are all removed, I'm going to start cutting off the ends of the cucumber. You want to take off the blossom end of the cucumber, especially because it has enzymes in it that will cause the pickles to soften when you can them, and you want more of a crunchy pickle. Now I'm going to slice the cucumbers into ideal pickle chip size as best I can. Now that those are all sliced up, we're going to move on to making our pickle brine that it's going to sit in overnight. I have a gallon of water to 6 tablespoons of salt. I'm using sea salt here, fine sea salt. I'm stirring to dissolve the salt in the water. Now I'm going to give it one final stir and then pour the brine over top of our cucumbers. And like I said before, these are going to sit in the fridge overnight with a towel over top of them or something to cover them. I used a towel. This is the following day. I'm making my brine that we will be canning the pickles in. So I'm doing 1 pint of water to 1 pint of vinegar, white vinegar, and 1/4 of a cup of salt. Let that come to a boil and then keep warm until you're ready to use it. I'm going to put 1 clove of peeled garlic into each jar. And then I have this pickling spice, Spice Village. And I'm going to, it's a dill pickle spice. I'm going to put a tablespoon in each jar. And then they have these like red chilies in them. I just put 1 in each jar. I couldn't find my canning funnel, so I'm just going to use a regular funnel here. I just want to put a little bit of the brine into each jar. This will help with the bubbles, make it so there's less bubbles at the bottom of the jar when we go to debubble it later. And I have my cucumber slices here. I just want to put as many as I can into each jar, leaving a 1/2 inch of head space. I think it was at this point where I realized I needed more jars. So I'm just going to repeat the process here, what I did before, but these are smaller jars. These are 1/2 pint jars. So I'm just going to do 1 clove of garlic in each jar like I did before, and then I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of pickling spice instead of 1 tablespoon. And then I just did like 1/3 of a red chili in each jar. And I ended up needing more jars than this. At the end too, we ended up with 8 jars of pickles. So I'm very happy with that. That might even be a year's supply of pickles for my family. We don't go through many pickles. We just eat them on like burgers and, you know, just very rarely. But it'll be nice to have these fresh home canned pickles from our garden. So excited to try these. They look so good when they finish. This is the 3rd round of jars that I'm filling because I ran out of space for more cucumber slices. So just repeating the same process here and now filling them. Didn't have quite enough pickles for this last jar, so I just took a few from the top of the other jars just to make them more evened out. And so I can can that last jar too. Now I'm going to fill the jars with the brine, covering the pickles, and once again we're leaving 1/2 inch of head space here. And I will continue that process until all my jars are full. I lost my debubbling tool, so I'm just using the end of this rubber spatula. And I'm just gonna poke around the edges all the way down to release all the bubbles from the bottom so they can come up. And I'm gonna do that to every jar. get all the bubbles out. And then we will have to readjust our headspace after that to make sure it didn't change after debubbling. We did lose a little bit of headspace here, so I'm going to add just a little bit more brine to bring it back up to that 1/2 inch headspace. And then I'm going to wipe the lids with, or not the lids, the jar rims with white vinegar on a towel. And check for any cracks as I'm doing this, and this will take off anything that might have gotten on the rims that would inhibit the seal. Now I'm using ball lids, and I have one 4 jars lid on here. Those are my favorite lids to use, and everything that I'm using today I will put a link in the description for if you're interested. Now I'm going to put on the rings, and I'm only tightening to finger tight. You don't want to tighten them too much because the lids can buckle and then they won't seal. These need to be canned for 10 minutes, but because of my elevation I have to add an extra 5 minutes, so I will be canning mine for 15 minutes. I added some white vinegar to this to make and so it doesn't get water stains on the jars when they're done. And I'm also adding more water now to make sure we have an inch of water over the jars. They are done in the water bath canner, so I let them sit with the lid off for 5 minutes so the water bath canner can cool down a little bit. If you pull them out right away, they have a bigger chance of breaking when you go to pull them out because of the temperature change. So you let it sit for 5 minutes and then take them out, and just gonna let them sit overnight, well, for 24 hours, and then we will take the rings off and check the seals. Have a blessed day.